the housing got to be in such bad shape that most of the units were vacant, unlivable. And I heard they used to say around that time, even poor people didn't want to live there.
Hey everybody, Ulysses Slaughter here with a special edition of Building Community. Today, I'm joined with Executive Director Steve Fischer. We're going to talk about something, Steve, that I don't think that is talked about publicly that much, but is definitely a very important component and publication that the Housing Authority puts out. It's something that you all call the annual report. And you and I
exciting. Sounds exciting. Huh?
But we're going to make this exciting because that's just how we do it here on Building Community. I think we can make this exciting. You said that not a lot of people around the country, not a lot of housing authorities actually put out annual reports, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm told at various meetings I've attended over the years where that type of thing was encouraged, as a way of housing authorities connecting themselves to their localities. To me, it's a given that you would do something like that, particularly because we run programs that make use of tax dollars. So from the people from whom those dollars come, have an interest in what we do. So that they deserve to hear about it on some kind of regular basis. So if they don't occasion to hear about things we do during the year, once a year we put out a little summary of hopefully what they view as what we have done for them.
Annual report clearly means yearly report.
Yeah, and like you were hinting at, it's not any kind of a requirement, but just as a part of our business model, we require it of ourselves.
I think that that's an important point, man. When you think about, you've talked before about going above and beyond, and I've heard you use the phrase working with urgency. When people see this annual report, they will see that it is entitled this time, Cornerstone of the Community. And accountability is one of the things that I always think about when I think about the Housing Authority, the Chester Housing Authority. Accountability. Another thing I think about is transparency. And the annual report is a way, as you've already said, of letting people know very specifically where dollars are going. And I think because of the history of this particular housing authority, this is a very important publication to put out. It's a way of saying we've got nothing to hide and everything to be proud of. And here it is. Here are the numbers. Here are the programs. We're going to match the numbers we're going to match the programs to the numbers and let people know what it's all about. What do you hope people will get out of the annual report?
Some of it is what you just went over. That we're here, we're accessible, nothing is hidden, and hopefully it provides them with a foundation as to what we're here for, what we're all about, in case any of that might have been confusing to them. When I first came to Chester, we were under receivership. So we were reporting to the federal court, to a federal judge. And the judge, of course, wanted many reports, including annual reports. And the court needed to know everything because we were here to straighten out a terrible situation. So reports tended to be quite voluminous, covering point for point daily operations. And so as the transformation became complete and we returned to normal operations, still wanting to continue that tradition of regular reporting, we pared down the detail quite a bit because I don't think the general public has the appetite for the type of consumption that the court wanted. But still, just to at least hit the highlights and let the public know that we're aware they're out there. We're aware they may have certain expectations of us. And so here it is. We lay it out and hopefully they're satisfied. And if they're not, there's plenty of room in our communication networks for them to raise questions, get answers, and or at least to exchange in some form of dialogue.
So I'm assuming that we're going to have some people watching this who say they were 5 or 6, 17 years ago, and they're looking at it wondering, what are they talking about? What was going on with the housing authority? And why would they be interested in reporting to let people know what's going on? When you arrived here in 2005, is that right? 5?
Yes.
When you arrived here in 2005, what was going on with the housing authority? What had happened to the housing authority, and what was going on with it when you got here?
Well, we were in the throes of receivership. We were already a good decade or so into the receivership, and a lot of reconstruction of what was the former housing authority was either underway and parts of it had been completed. Our transformation was a decades-long process. No large-scale project like this that really, in the end, that can claim it was effective happens overnight. It requires dedication of a significant group of people over long periods of time, and hopefully experiences as little turnover as possible personnel-wise. And I think we checked all those boxes here. Even to this day, our entire executive team is pretty much still in place. The court is out of the picture. The court moved on in 2014. So we're almost a decade past that now, but yet key personnel at the housing authority is still in place. So, that speaks to not only our success in transforming, but, our continued stability as an organization.
What is meant by receivership? And the housing authority had a unique receivership compared to other places. Can you explain something about the receivership?
Yeah, it's funny. I never thought all these years later I would still be going back to square one and explaining that. But as you said, at the beginning of this portion of the conversation, some people were 5 and 6 years old when I first appeared on the scene, and now, now they're listening in and trying to understand what's going on here. So if you go back to the 1980s, if you were alive then, and even a young guy like Butch Slaughter was alive then, this was what a lot of people called the worst housing authority in the country. Pretty notorious. The housing got to be in such bad shape that most of the units were vacant, unlivable. And I heard they used to say around that time, even poor people didn't want to live there. So the result was a group of courageous residents, people in need, banded together, filed a class action lawsuit against the housing authority, against the federal government, the funder of the housing, and I think against the city of Chester as well, who was responsible for appointing the board to the housing authority. Long story short, they won their case. That brought us up to the 1990s, and the court assumed control over the housing authority for what turned out to be the next 20 years. That wasn't the plan at first, but that's what it became. So during that time, you could say the housing authority had been completely rebuilt, underwent a complete change in philosophy, and tried to match itself up to the actual needs on the streets of Chester. When I came in, a lot of the new construction was either underway or complete, and my job was going to be to return the housing authority to normal operations. But I wound up spending my first 10 years continuing the receivership, so that we made sure that once that was terminated, we would be as strong an organization as there possibly could be, beyond vulnerability to being shaken down and taken down, as it had been in the past. So far, so good.